The ideas and beliefs of an artist, along with significant events and forces of the time, play a major role in influencing an artist's work. German painters post-World War I were deeply affected by the consequences of war on their society. Otto Dix, a German painter and printmaker, was famous for his ruthless and harshly realistic depictions of the Weimar society and the brutality of war. Otto Dix belonged to a group known as Neue Sachlichkeit, also known as New Objectivity, whose work commented on the hypocrisy and injustices in the post-World War I Weimar Germany, and were designated by the National Socialist German Workers' Party, commonly referred to in English as the Nazi Party, as degenerate artists. Otto Dix was a veteran of the First World War, and he was troubled by the brutality of mechanized warfare long after the guns fell silent. Dix took every opportunity, both during his active service and after he had finished, to document his experiences in the war, which would later become the subject matter of his paintings. In his work, Dix explores various effects of war on society. His artworks in his print series, Der Krieg, The War, depict the abandoned military landscapes with scattered trenches dug by soldiers, the decomposing dead, and the unrecognizable faces of soldiers obscured by gas masks and steel helmets. The work on the screen, known as Dead Sentry in the Trench, created in 1924, is an etching from his portfolio, Der Krieg, that documents the harsh effects of the war, reflecting Dix's negative ideas and beliefs about the war. Dix represents the sentry, or soldier, in an expressive, exaggerated manner, highlighting the grotesque appearance of the decaying flesh. An etching in dry point refers to a printmaking process, and one of the properties of a print is that it can be replicated as many times as the artist wants within his art making practice. This connects well to the theme of war, where most things are replicated due to the uniform image presented by the army. Death itself is the most commonly replicated consequence of war, and Dix depicts this by portraying a dead sentry leaning awkwardly at his post, with numerous visible injuries along with a tattered uniform, vacant stare, and still holding his weapon, as if he were battle ready in the print. Dix's choice to manipulate etching and aquatic mediums in order to enhance the darker and more horrific areas of the print illustrate how his ideas and beliefs about the war have affected his art-making practice. Continue watching only if you would like to hear a second artwork analysed. Another work, War Cripples by Dix, portrays how significant events such as World War I, along with the artist's perception of this war, affected his practice. In this work, Dix explores the pitiful veterans of war who have been disfigured and discarded by society and are now living in poverty. This print portrays the aftermath of war and how it had an effect on German society. The print illustrates 4 veterans marching proudly along the city street. However, despite their pride and uniforms, they are severely crippled by injuries sustained during the war, creating a biting comment on the hypocrisy of the times. Dix's use of sharp dry point etching enhances the raw and brutal effect that the war had on German society, even after the war had finished. It was this Dix's examination of the decadence and underlying social inequality of post-war German society that made him a valuable member of the New Sachlichkeit, New Objectivity group, and thus a terrific example of an artist whose work accurately represents the time and place in which it was created.